Hello, my name is Brian Valbuan. I am a team lead for one of the summer 2022 to fall 2022 Portland State University computer science capstone teams. With me is Kevin, Naya, Adric, Jonathan, Kay, Kevin, and Logan. Our wonderful sponsor was Dr. George Saporkin. Our project was to create the Lingo Medico phone application. We were tasked with creating a phone application for use on Android devices. The application would be based on a physical booklet created by Dr. Saporkin. These booklets allowed a user to fill out their self-identified medical history for traveling to different countries. Each booklet had a one-for-one translation to simple yes/no medical questions about a person's medical history or disabilities. These booklets were meant to be used to help a non-native speaker to a country navigate any medical issues they may encounter, from simple allergies to serious medical situations. So for our project, we felt the need as a team to make sure it was as accurate to the source material as possible. We agreed the phone application would allow for any combination of two languages and would only use the translations provided by Dr. Saporkin. We ended up finishing the project with 5 languages: English, Japanese, French, Arabic, and Korean, as well as a profile for the user. Our primary goal as mentioned was the creation of a mobile application based on the physical booklets using the Android OS, since Android is 70% of the market share in cell phones in the world. Our application would allow the user to fill out and save their self-informed medical history to be able to reference it later as needed with the languages of their choice. Our secondary goal was to create an accessible repository for future teams to use in the hopes of improving the app or adding more functionality. Now let us take a quick demo of the application.
I'm going to show you the core functionality of our application, Lingo Medico. Upon launching the app for the first time, you're presented with our Setup Welcome screen. We'll advance by clicking Next. And to go backwards in general and navigate, you use the navigation bar at the top of the screen. We're going to pick a base language and a default translated language, in this case Japanese. We are presented with the disclaimer screen. If we attempt to advance without agreeing, we are alerted. So I'm going to read all of it and agree. We'll enter our profile information. Let's go with test, along with optional information. We can also choose to upload a photo for our profile. And now that we've created our profile, we can verify that the information we entered upon setting up is all there. Notice that I cannot click or activate or edit the fields in any way. This is because you start in read-only mode. To exit read-only mode, we click the edit button. Now the user's indicated that they are now in edit mode. So we can edit a field, add a nickname to our profile, and advance through the application, filling out fields that are relevant to us. To save our changes, we simply click the edit button again and click confirm. And now the fields will once again be deactivated, though our changes will be saved. To move quickly, we can use the collapse all and expand all buttons. Let's try collapsing. Now you'll notice that the form is broken down into these major sections, which we can expand completely with the expand all button. We can also search for key terms to find out what section they're located in. Let's try searching for throat. We can also switch the languages presented. Let's choose a Japanese base language and an English translated language. And you'll notice that they have swapped. Let's change back. Our application stores the information locally on the phone. So if we exit the application and we enter it once more, instead of being presented with the setup screen, our previously loaded profile with all of the information saved is presented and rendered. And once again, we can edit as we like. We have a menu at the top left of the screen with some additional functionality. We can click the help screen to find out how to use the app. We can view the disclaimer information we agreed to upon setup. We can view information about the application. And we can also change the settings, including font size, light or dark mode, and a color scheme.
Hi, I'm Kevin. I was responsible for the language extraction from the PDF. For the initial script of extracting from the PDF, I used Adobe's PDF extraction script. This pulled each language from the PDF and created a JSON file. Each JSON file originally had upwards of 50,000 lines. So the next part was to minimize the extraneous details so that it would load smoothly into the application. There are a few ways that we agreed to do this. Most importantly was splitting the languages into their own JSON files. In order to do this, we decided to create templates based off the first language split of English and Japanese. In addition, to minimize the length of the different language JSONs, we created a template with no language. This included different titled sections containing a title, an ID, and a list of text arrays that would be an empty shell that could line up the other two languages. This would minimize the required information within each language JSON file. The English language template would be the basis of all splits in the future. The script that I wrote would take the English template and compare it against the extracted data file containing both languages from the PDF. This would allow us to isolate the English language and the other language as well. There were some challenges that we needed to overcome, though, in order for this to run properly. Sometimes the PDF did not have functional text extraction due to Adobe's PDF extraction script. Some languages used just ASCII and others used Unicode. Right to left languages require a lot more modification as well, due to how the Adobe extraction script separates right to left languages. We're able to work out all of these challenges, though, and we're able to make the language display properly each time.
Hi, I'm Lingo Wu, and I mainly designed and was responsible for the accessibility color, day-night mode, font size options, and expand our class 4 component in the project. This part aimed to improve user friendliness, which give users a better experience and ensure our application was suitable for various use bases. I was using the online color palette to simulate how colors would look like in people with color vision deficiency. So I could depend on which color plan was saved and could be distinguished easily. The day-night mode is kind of popular trend, and we want to make sure our application gets with the times. During the time to implement the coding, I set up a global state in the project in order to connect buttons to whole font size styles and color styles. If I access every files and test the new colors in its style sheet, it could be a time wasting and repetitive work. So I rebuilt the style sheet and organizing them into a single file, especially separated the color and font size into different functions to achieve a dynamic style sheet. And it will greatly increase the efficiency of testing and the maintainability in the future. I really enjoy the process. That's a part for me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Naya, and my main focus for this project was the user interface and front end. I created a visual outline plan using Figma for the user interface that was followed by the entire team throughout the development process. I worked on the main page of the application with emphasis on ease of navigation and readability from a user-friendly perspective. I decided to implement 2 modes for this main page to eliminate chances of user error. There is a normal mode that disables all the prompts, and then an edit mode that allows the user to edit their information. Finally, I made sure that myself and the UI team had a focus on accessibility, such as implementing things like drop-downs and radio buttons so that the user had a smooth experience when filling out the many different sections of their form.
Hey, my name is Jonathan Harris. I follow the design of the Figma set up by Naya. I worked on the user setup page, which includes entering profile information and adding a profile picture. I adjusted UI components so they better fit with the Android interface. And one of my accomplishments was using outside libraries to make elements of the page appear more clean and professional.
Hi, I'm Kevin Dugas, and I implemented the navigation, which dictates the sequence of screens presented by the user depending on user input. And we also implemented a global context scheme that made crucial data accessible throughout the application's component hierarchy. I built out the storage backend that retrieved and saved global state and user data to enable persistence. And finally, I reviewed and accepted pull requests to ensure new code passed all tests and maintained a high degree of uniformity, organization, and readability for future teams.
Hi, I'm Adric Urganis, and I worked on a large part of the backend for this project. I created the data structure for the profiles to be generated with prompt, input, and header components in an order that resembled the PDFs. These profiles then got combined with language data before getting shown to the user. Another accomplishment of mine was using async storage to allow for local storage, meaning without the need of an external storage system. We decided to have the profiles store whenever the user makes a change to their profile. This prevents as much data loss as possible in case of any sudden app closure. When saving, profiles are run through a serialization algorithm to cut down on the amount of storage space the app consumes. This is paired with a deserialization algorithm that translates the stored data back into profile objects when they get loaded in. Finally, myself and Kevin Dugas integrated the other team members' code with the backend code for seamless iterations.
My name is Kay Randall. I worked on the user interface for the initial user setup pages, which includes the welcome page, choosing the initial languages to translate from and to, and other pages as set up in the Figma by Naya. I worked with styling and formatting, as well as using libraries to incorporate modal pop-ups and drop-down picker components into the interface. I worked with the other UI team members to make sure that there was consistency across individual pages and the app's interface as a whole.
Now let's go over our processes and design decisions we made over the course of 2 terms. We chose to use a well-documented phone application stack, which include React Native and the TypeScript language. Our biggest hurdle was to successfully and accurately translate the PDFs of the physical booklets into language packs that we could use in the application. This was important to our sponsor and therefore us because the translations were done by a company who specialized in medical terminology. From day one, we made it a priority to accurately document our processes. Summer was focused mainly on planning, research, and practice. We started by breaking everyone up into teams based on their preferred skills. Front-end and components were given to Naya, Logan, Jonathan, and Kay. Kevin Dugas was our DevOps team. Adric was our backend and jumped into other teams as needed. And Kevin Thomas was in charge of translating the PDFs into usable JSON and creating the language packs. Because our team had never made a phone application before, a lot of research and practice did go into this first term. Adric was able to create a backend and prototype that would serve as a skeleton to the UI and components team, which greatly improved our fall start. We had weekly stand-ups and one-on-ones as necessary with team members to keep us on schedule and communicating. From the start, design decisions were made to keep the look and feel of the original booklet. This was to help protect us from missing any translations and give us something to double check for errors. Because we had to translate a printed product into usable data, we ended up using an Adobe API and a custom script made by Kevin Thomas. The script would parse the PDF, separate different objects and languages into usable JSON data. Lastly, these decisions would help us maintain the original use cases of the product as well. This included assuming users may not have internet, may have physical disabilities, or may not be a native English speaker. To help keep us on track for the look and feel, Naya created a working concept Figma and flowchart to assist the team and maintain the look throughout the application, help us visualize how the pages would flow and work together, and give team members something to reference throughout the project so they didn't have to wait for design approval. Fall term was where the bulk of the actual programming happened. Because Adric gave us a wonderful backend and prototype to work off of, all that really was left was to get the programming up and running for the UI and components, as well as applying and testing the language packs, followed by testing the code on the different phone emulators we chose, which include Android and a few iOS ones, just to tweak for any bugs and missing sections that might have been missed. We quickly realized that phone application development is pretty finicky, can differ wildly based on the phones and processes being used. The team ended up hitting a lot of interesting blockers throughout the project due to our unfamiliarity with this tech stack and the nature of phone application development. One phone would look completely different on another phone, even though the code was the exact same. Luckily, our team was really great at pivoting design choices without sacrificing user interaction to keep us on schedule. We learned a lot of lessons together, and it was great to see the team's skills grow. We quickly learned phone architecture and frameworks very wildly from phone to phone. Even phones on the same operating system would look extremely different. Finding time to pull back and test the features on different phones was something we wish we had learned a little faster, but we did end up catching on, and it helped speed up the processes. It helped us find weak spots in our design and code by testing on different phones and to make it more uniform across phone types. Documenting everything was one of our strongest skill sets, and we learned how valuable it was throughout the project. We all wish we could have had another 2 terms or more because there are so many great features to be added to this application. We just didn't have the time to get to them. Some of the stretch goals we had were to implement multiple profiles, make the ability to print to a PDF, obviously more in language packs, creating custom application icons for the phones, interactive components to help users find sections faster. Honestly, the list can go on, and we hope that another team in the future can pick this project up and make it even better. We want to give special thanks to Dr. Saporkin, who was a constant source of inspiration and a wonderful sponsor, and as well to Bruce Irvin, who was a great mentor to the teams. Thank you.